Good Thursday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, I will be covering that winter storm that does linger with additional snow and ice accumulations across the Great Lakes and the Northeast through this weekend. Then an intense storm next week will bring heavy rain and a significant severe weather outbreak, especially across the Great Plains. And then early March, the interesting weather pattern does return. Winter is not done yet. Early March does look very interesting. We'll dig into those details later on in this video. If you guys don't know, we're down to 6 days now for my 1 year of being on YouTube. I started YouTube on March 1st of 2022, and March 1st of 2023 is in 6 days. So if you do want to support the channel and help out, definitely hit the subscribe button down below and to get all of my daily weather forecast updates each and every morning at 9 a.m. And also because of my 1 year of being on YouTube, we are now approaching 23,000 subscribers. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to all the new subscribers out there. Definitely much appreciated. But we are still talking about that winter storm that does linger up here across the Great Lakes region and the Northeast here through at least the next couple of days. We still have the blizzard warnings across the eastern Dakotas, western Minnesota here in extreme northwestern Iowa, and the pink shaded colors up here across the upper Midwest, the northern Great Lakes, and then up across interior New England into upstate New York, northern Vermont, New Hampshire, and western Maine. Those are winter storm warnings. And then the purple shaded colors down into Massachusetts, northern Connecticut here into Rhode Island. And then getting down here into northwestern New Jersey, that is actually winter weather advisories for at least a few inches of snow going through this weekend. So tracking this through the day today around noon time frame, we have that shield of snow up here across the UP of Michigan, northern lower Michigan, and then on up into southern portions of Canada, into Ontario, Canada around noon time frame. That will spread eastward towards upstate New England here and towards Maine, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and then over there toward Montreal into Quebec, Canada through this evening around 9 o'clock. And then by the time we get into the morning hours on Friday around 6 a.m., we'll start to move this storm system farther east off of the United States mainland and off across the northern Atlantic Ocean. So we'll say goodbye to that storm system as we get towards early on Friday morning. But the additional snowfall accumulations are going to be pretty significant up here still across the upper Midwest, the northern Great Lakes, and stretching over here into upstate New England here as well. Through Saturday, some of these locations could be seeing up to a foot of snowfall into western Maine, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and even just up to 8 to 10 inches here into upstate New York as well, going through that Saturday, February 25th time frame. So definitely going to need the shovels, the snow blowers, and the plows out here to clear this snow through the weekend. But we are also talking about still an ice threat with this system. Farther south here, we got that freezing line, and that's where we be adding up another couple of hundredths of an inch to a couple tenths of an inch of ice through portions of central New York, stretching over into western central Massachusetts, northern portions of Connecticut. Those are in those winter weather advisory areas with some light icing as we head through this upcoming weekend. But if you guys are with me still on the video, don't forget to press that like button. It's the thumbs up button down below the video. I definitely appreciate that because this gets all of this weather information out to as many people as possible when you hit that like button. So I definitely appreciate that. But going through Friday, we have another storm system taking shape across the West Coast, and this is going to be slamming into California, Nevada, and Oregon as we head through the day on Friday here tomorrow. And then that will propagate its way farther east, southeastward into Southern California and Western Arizona by the time we get into this weekend on Saturday, February 25th. And you can see this storm system is going to have plenty of legs with it. It's going to have lots of moisture, especially in those higher elevations where we are going to squeeze out some very heavy snow across the Sierra Nevada mountains here at 6 a.m. on Friday. But in the lower elevations, it's going to be too warm to snow. So we're going to see some moderate to heavy pockets of rain into coastal California here around the San Francisco area at 6 a.m. on Friday. That will move its way farther south towards Los Angeles proper as we head through Friday evening with still some lingering snow up here into the Sierra Nevadas, at least the southern Sierra Nevada mountains, and then that stretches up into central Nevada as well. But by the time we get into 6 a.m. on Saturday now on the 25th, all of that heavy rain and snow moves down toward Los Angeles and the higher elevations, getting some very significant snow through that time frame. So looking at the rainfall accumulation, this is the total rainfall accumulation from Friday the 24th into Saturday the 25th. And looking down here across San Francisco, down through Los Angeles, we could be seeing 3 to 6+ inches of rainfall, definitely likely down across this area. And we are concerned, especially in the metro Los Angeles region, for a flash flooding risk. There is a moderate risk of flash flooding across those areas here, especially getting up towards San Francisco and then down here towards Los Angeles going into that Friday and Saturday time frame. So definitely want to be mindful of that. But also in the higher elevations, we are going to be talking about some very heavy and healthy snowfall accumulations at that. We're talking a couple of feet, if not more than that, possibly up to 5 feet in some areas here going through this weekend. So definitely a lot of snow and a lot of rain to go around across California and the West. But as that system moves across the Four Corners region, it's going to be creating another trouble in the weather forecast across the central and southern plains on Sunday, February 26th, before ejecting across the Ohio Valley by the time we get into early next week on Monday, February 27th. And what I mean by that trouble is we have severe weather and possibly a significant severe weather outbreak across the southern and central plains on Sunday. This is the Storm Prediction Center's outlook here, their Day 4 outlook, a 15 to 30% or a slight to enhanced risk for severe storms centered on central portions of Oklahoma. This moves up into portions of Kansas, western Missouri, getting into northwestern Arkansas, and then as far south as the DFW Metroplex in that slight risk, and then getting down into central Texas as well on Sunday. And looking at the setup for that, we have those warm temperatures moving northward again on Sunday. Temperatures will be in the 50s, 60s, and even some 70s down here towards the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and Wichita Falls, Texas on Sunday. Also, the Gulf of Mexico is open for business as well. Dew points will be rising well far to the north into the 60s here towards the Kansas City region, into the mid 50s with dew points. And looking at the kinematics with this system, there is going to be plenty of wind energy to go around. We have that kink in the hose, as we call it, or that mid-level jet rounding the base of that trough, and that's definitely going to kick off some damaging winds with this system. But also the low-level jet is going to be respectable as well, so we have to watch out for some tornadoes. And as this storm starts to grow intense, we're going to see a squall line move through with more of QLCS tornadoes here along the leading edge of a line of storms. So looking here at Sunday evening, again, this is going to be an evening and overnight threat, so we're going to watch some supercells erupt across central Kansas, down into western Oklahoma, getting down toward the Red River here in Texas, into northwest Texas, towards Wichita Falls by 6 o'clock. And these storms will grow upscale into a line very quickly once they develop after just a couple of hours. And then by the time we get into late evening, early overnight, around midnight time frame, going into Monday, February 27th, this is an all-out squall line with damaging straight line winds, large hail, and possibly a few tornadoes along the leading edge of the storm as it propagates eastward through eastern Oklahoma, western Arkansas, up here into eastern Kansas, western portions of Missouri, possibly as far north as Kansas City, and then as far south as the I-20 corridor down here into East Texas toward the DFW Metroplex and Texarkana, and then that will spread eastward and start to lose its punch a little bit as we get into the morning hours on Monday around 6 a.m. So looking at this, again, you want to know your safe place from tornadoes. Tornadoes are extremely dangerous, as we well know. Safe places are storm shelters, basements, but if they aren't available to you, you don't have a storm shelter or basement, an interior room without windows can be also protective as well. If you receive a tornado warning, take shelter immediately here. Do not go outside and see where the tornado is coming from, because we know that tornadoes can be rain wrapped here, especially with those line of storms. And again, more on the tornado safety here. Before a tornado does strike, make sure your family has a way of knowing where to go during a tornado. Store an emergency kit in your safe location here. Identify where to go as well if you were at work or school, and make family communications plan here. Know where you have to go if a tornado does strike your community. So definitely all those great tips out there during severe weather season. But as we go through Monday, as this moves up into the Ohio Valley, this is not going to be creating much in the way of severe weather anymore, but more of a widespread heavy rainfall threat across Illinois, Indiana, getting up here into southern Wisconsin, southern Michigan, and then stretching across Ohio here down through Kentucky and Tennessee. And these will be thunderstorms as well, but just mainly heavy rainfall producers. And then that will lift up across portions of the eastern Great Lakes and New England by midnight on Tuesday morning to end the month here. And with more cold air coming in, looks like a snowstorm is on our hands up here into the Great Lakes region and parts of the I-95 corridor. And that could continue through the day on Tuesday and even in through Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. on March 1st. So looking at this total rainfall accumulation from Sunday into Monday, this is going to be producing some rather healthy totals of rain across portions of Iowa, northern and western Illinois, getting down through portions of the Kansas City region, north central Missouri, all the way southward here in towards Kansas and portions of the Oklahoma City and Tulsa metroplexes. That will be producing over an inch of rain, locally up to 2 inches on Sunday into Monday, and that will be creating the threat for flash flooding down here. This does include the Des Moines region, down through Kansas City, and portions of Wichita going in towards that Sunday and Monday timeframe for flash flooding, so be mindful of that. But as it spreads through the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast, this will be turning into a heavy rain producer up here from Monday into Tuesday to end the month of February, with again 1 to 2 inch rainfall amounts across many of these areas, from Milwaukee to Green Bay to Chicago, down through portions of Columbus and Cleveland, Ohio, and then towards the Pittsburgh area going into early next week. But like I said, some of this cold air will be moving in through next week, so we will be talking about a snowstorm, I do think, across southeastern Canada, but this time even farther southward towards that I-95 corridor from Boston to New York City, Hartford, Connecticut, and then down into northern New Jersey perhaps as well during that Tuesday into Wednesday timeframe as we turn into early March. And looking at this here, the European forecast model is all in at least 6 to 10 inches worth of snow across central, southern New York. This does include New York City here, Hartford, Connecticut, and Boston, even portions of Long Island as well. But looking at the GFS model, a lot heavier of totals here, over a foot in Boston, down towards New York City and portions of the Albany area in New York. So definitely some differences in the strength of the system, but it does look like a nice snowstorm is on the way up here on Tuesday. But then we turn our attention back west again. Another storm in our parade of storms will be moving in across the West Coast on Tuesday. More heavy rain and heavy snow for California, portions of Oregon, Washington State, and farther east toward the Intermountain West. That will move its way south and eastward towards the Four Corners region here as we get in towards that first day in March on Wednesday, March 1st. But looking at the long range weather pattern now, going in from March 2nd through the 8th, again, we still have that southeastern ridge remaining strong across portions of the Carolinas down here toward Florida, but then another trough will be digging in off the west coast toward the Four Corners region before turning up through the middle of the country during that first full week in March. And that does promise more active weather with more heavy snow and heavy rainfall, and probably even some severe weather on the southern side of any of these storms going into that first full week in March. And looking at this here with some of the ensemble guidance, this is the Europeans ensemble guidance here of the upper level jet stream through that Friday, March 3rd timeframe. Now, this is a little far out, but there has been some consistency showing that we do have a potent trough moving in off the west coast and ejecting across the middle of the country, and this will send a stronger low pressure system up somewhere across the southern plains, the Tennessee Valley, and the Ohio Valley here, and this could be producing some widespread precipitation with this as well during that first full week in March. And in fact, it looks like that snow line does move farther south as we get into early March, farther south into Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, and perhaps the Texas Panhandle as well, getting into that time frame. So that could be something to watch. And it looks like that potential storm track from March 2nd through March 8th does start over here across the lee side of the Rockies and then dives down through the Panhandle of Texas before taking that left-hand turn up through portions of the Ohio Valley and the Northeast. To the southeast of that track, it's all warm air with that southeast ridge, so we're going to see heavy rainfall and some episodes of severe weather from time to time. But on the northwestern side of any of these lows during that time frame, it looks like more of a heavy snowfall threat here as we go here across the central and northern Great Lakes through the Midwest and the Central Plains back toward the Front Range of the Rockies in eastern Colorado through March 8th. So to recap my weather forecast, the winter storm does linger, additional snow and ice accumulations across the Great Lakes and the Northeast here through this weekend. An intense storm does take shape next week with heavy rain and a significant severe weather outbreak, especially across the central and southern plains on Sunday. Then an interesting weather pattern does emerge into early March. Winter is not done yet, guys. We have lots of snow and cold yet to go into at least that first week in March. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. If you guys liked the video, press the thumbs up down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Thursday, everybody, a great rest of your week, and I will see you all in the next video.